Oh, remember Jaguar last week?
Mhm.
Remember that? What was it called? Copy nothing. Was that their slogan? Copy nothing was their slogan. So December 2nd, which is today, which is what they announced in the advertisement with all those weirdos in those costumes, that they were rebranding their image, right? And Jaguar has always been a brand of the English gentleman. It's been used in several Bond movies, not as a main car, but as certainly featured in it. This is what they've released. Are you ready for it? I'm going to have to ask you to maybe just flex your stomach muscles, because you might try to throw some vomit up in your mouth. So forgive me in advance, but here we go. This is what they were talking about, copying nothing. I'm assuming that they're electric cars, because I don't see any vents in the front of the design elements to allow air in for a radiator. It has vents in the back of the car. I don't know what that's about. It's a very bizarre design language. I don't know what's up with these very feminine pink and turquoise hues, but there you go, guys. You want to go out and get yourself a Jaguar? This is what they're going to be selling you in pink and turquoise. So just make sure you check your man card at the door when you go over there. But honestly, Jag's been around since 1922, and I think this is it for them. This is the rest in peace moment. I've bookmarked this. We'll come back in a year when the stock fails, because it'll probably take that long for their consumer base to say, no, thank you. I'm going to go to Aston Martin, or I'm going to go to Porsche, and they'll vote with their wallet somewhere else. But again, another woke rebrand that is more than likely going to fail the way that it did for Gillette and Bud Light and all the other ones that came in between this and that. It is what it is. Yeah, car for Cruella. That's probably a really good way to put it. I don't know who would buy that thing. Moff, would you drive a car like that?
Never in my life. I wouldn't drive it for free.
If you gave me that car for free, I would get rid of it as quick as I possibly could. It's just such a bad design language, man. Such a bad design language. What's Jack got here for us? What are the chances we're going to get date footage? Moff and Rich running high-level double dates, hitting camera. Yeah, that's not happening.
Yeah, dude. I'm gonna film a stranger on a date.
Yeah.
Come on, buddy. Let's go.
Wrong show, guys. Wrong show. You want to go to the Mano Swamp for that. The Mano Swamp does crap like that. Let me grab my next bookmark over here, boys. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. The Jaguar is now the Faguar, I guess. All right. Oh, here's another interesting one. Well, yeah, you know what? I'm gonna throw this up here, because this is a Christian dating site. So this was brought to my attention as well. Christian Mingle is a dating site owned by a company called Sparks Network. This ad for Christian Mingle ran. The CEO of Sparks Network was a man by the name of Adam Berger. And you know what's happening on Twitter with all this right now, but Christian Mingle is connecting you and recommending dating at this level for you boys and gals out there. Another interesting search result out there that is not conventional. And the stuff that I see guys talking about out there, where they're trying to manipulate the data and they're trying to take you away from conventions, cultural conventions, religious conventions. There might be something to it. Let me throw this up over here. I think this is a great bit on combat, man. I just love this stuff. This is something that fires me up. I'm going to play this video for you.
Yo, real quick, mutual combat would solve so many problems both on and outside of X. There's so much shit talking. You'll be called, like, the Tate brothers are called human traffickers. The Groypers are called gay. Like, whatever the category it is, if people actually had combat training under their belt and they had a sense of kinetic reality, they would not be talking so much. This is the thing about these intellectual people who are so cerebrotonic and living basically with their noses up in the sky. The baseline reality is that this is all undergirded by physicality, right? So whether it's a Wild West style where we do some gunslinging, whether we're Ronins and we take out swords, or whether we do an Irishman style with our fists, we need to bring back that. We need to bring that back in society, frankly speaking. I only say that because all of this talk from these keyboard warriors who have nothing to say, and all the biggest haters like the Krasensteins, Ian Michael Chong, whoever, they're all dysgenic fucks. Yo, real quick,
Now, I don't think he's wrong. Jake Shields, who's a Brazilian jiu-jitsu practitioner, I did a podcast with him when I was in Vegas a few months ago. He said Throughout the majority of human history, if you ran your mouth, you'd likely face violence. The chance of physical violence forced a far more polite society. This only changed in the past several generations. Let me ask you a question, Moff. When you went to school, if you had a difference with you and a schoolmate, a peer, did you guys leave the school property after school was over and the bell rang and fight it out just past the sidewalk? Or did you sort of like let it go?
I never fought when I was in school. I mean, there were guys that would do that. There were guys that fought in school.
Right.
For the most part, yeah, it would be you would take it off school grounds, because what are they going to do? You can't do
Yeah, that's what we
anything.
did. So
Resource
we would
officer.
leave school grounds so you couldn't get
Yeah.
suspended, right? And it was like, I'll meet you at the sidewalk, because the sidewalk was like the perimeter of the school, and that's where all the fights would happen, right?
But that is I mean, that's even now before my time. Like, I mean, when I was growing up and going through school, like, we are already pussified and feminized, even our generation, the millennials. So that didn't happen too awful much. Like, you would just, have a problem with somebody and you guys would run your mouth or whatever, and then it didn't really amount to much. But there were some guys that would get into it. But no, that wasn't really a thing, because I mean, we still grew up with the internet, right? I mean, it's not as heavily scrutinized as it is now, where everybody's got a phone and everything can be recorded in an instant. But I still grew up with social media going through middle school, mostly high school. So there was not this sort of just like me, you square off, like settle it, and then that's the end of it. It would be an entire ordeal. But no, for the most part, I mean, I agree with mostly what the guy's saying. I mean, I don't think that guys need to train to learn how to not run their mouths, because there's still plenty of guys that train and that run their mouths. But there's a lot of guys out there that have never been punched in the face and that have never had to answer for their words through physicality and violence. And that certainly will change someone's tune very quickly. One of my favorite essays by Jack Donovan is Violence is Golden. And it talks about how, violence is the ultimate answer. Violence is the ultimate authority, right? It's the ultimate answer to, or what? Like, you guys need to do this. You guys need to do that. Or what? What are you going to do about it? What's your plan to stop me? What's your plan to bend me to your will? But where we've gotten to as a society is that violence isn't the answer, and you're just a knuckle dragger and a caveman who solves this. It's like, no, I mean, it's the ultimate deterrent. It's the ultimate thing that would keep people in line. I mean, if I was able to say, hey, anonymous commenter 345 on YouTube that goes, Moff, I think you suck. It's okay. I challenge you to be at this place at this time with these. And if you decline, then, whatever happens, or you have to pay me money for your protection, or you can come in, you can take your shots like a man. So
that would actually shut up a lot of those pussies out there that like to run their mouth in the comments, like keyboard warriors. They always hide behind an avatar. They never have a real picture posted of themselves, but they like to flick boogers at you, from behind this, like, Pepe avatar, or an avatar of like a Viking or something like that. Probably something that they don't even remotely resemble, because as far as I've ever, I mean, if I'm being honest, everybody that I know that's got the capacity for violence, that can fight, they don't do that.
Get better stuff to do.
They're on social media writing stupid stuff, trying to provoke you, or like use ad hom attacks. It's like, I think he's right. Like, we had a more polite society back in the day where there was consequences for running your mouth or saying something stupid or insulting somebody, because you had to do it face to face, right? Like, there was no keyboard to hide.
That's the thing.
Okay. Yeah. That's the thing. Today, now the keyboard exists. So you get these pussies, is what they are. And they just run their mouth. And it's like, you couldn't have done that 75 years ago. They couldn't have done that in my dad's generation and my generation prior to that. Because if you had something to say, you actually had to go to the guy and say it to him. Right. Or what? Like, you had to write a postcard or a letter. Is that the other way that they did it? I'm going to write a letter and I'm going to fold it up and put it in an envelope and stick a stamp on it. I'm going to mail it to you. And then 2 weeks later, you're going to get it. And then you're going to open it up and read my mean words, sort of thing. Right. It just didn't happen that, back then. So I think there's a lot of truth to that. It's a very interesting phenomena that's only happened recently. The first time that I came across it. There was this guy. So when I was in collections, we used to call them telephone tough guys, because you'd call them up and you'd say, hey, your bill's due, sort of thing. And there was always the odd guy that would like run their mouth. I'm going to kill you. I'm going to snap your neck in two, blah, 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 blah. All right, just come in and pay your bill. I'll meet you at the front. This guy was running his mouth for 2-3 weeks on me. I'm going to kill you. I'm going to snap you in half. Italian guy, right? Vito Pileggi or something like that was his name, like a pure Italian name. I'm like, all right. I get a call from the front desk. It's reception. Richard, I got a guy over here that's making a payment, Vito, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, oh, okay, that's good. So I go out. The guy's like 5'1", but he's like 350 pounds. I'm like, where is he? She's like, over here, this guy. Okay. You're going to snap me in. It's always the same thing, man. Anybody that can fight doesn't run their mouth like that. They just don't. It's always these, these clowns. All right, guys, I really hope that you enjoyed that clip. If you want to check out the full-length podcast episode, you can find that right over here. Also, make sure you visit my website over here, where you'll find my supplements, the opportunity to book me privately one-on-one for coaching, and most importantly, my new School of Unplugging, which you'll find on the courses tab. Newer to the channel, hit subscribe.